Once you've completed knitting all of the pieces for the sweater, with the exception of the neck trim, we'll need to block the pieces. You've probably already noticed that the double bed pieces lay quite flat on their own, but the sleeves, which are mostly single jersey, will curl inward toward the purl side. We'll ensure that our knit pieces are blocked to spec, meaning they match the dimension of the pattern, by tracing the pattern template piece, which copies are available in the studio, with T-pins or whatever pins you plan to block with around the perimeter. We'll rough in the shape with the pins and then remove the paper and replace it with the corresponding knit piece so that we can block it to the measurements of the pattern. I'm taking care not to pin the paper pattern to the blocking mat. I'll need to remove the paper before I replace it with the knitting and then steam block. I'm just placing the pins right next to the cut edge. We do not want to block out the rib, so the rib start for the front, back, and the sleeve will not be pinned in place, so you don't need any pins at these bottom corners of the pattern pieces. Once you've removed your paper, you'll replace it with the knit piece, putting pins back where they were as outlined by the pattern, this time securing your knit piece with the pins. It may be necessary to stretch the knit pieces widthwise in order to get them to fit. This is okay. Hopefully it's not straining your knit pieces, but it is to be expected to some degree, especially with double bed work. You may need to add a few pins here and there to clean up some of your edges. This is okay. You may notice a slight bowing in between the pins. That's fine. However, if the bowing is excessive or appears that the pins are pulling or distorting the knit structure, back off and reduce the width. Take your pinned piece to the ironing station and steam block the piece. Remember, we're using acrylic yarn, so do not touch the iron shoe or the plate of the iron to the knit piece itself. Hold the iron about an inch or 3/4 of an inch above the knitting and then depress the button to release the steam. After the piece has dried and cooled completely, you can remove the pins. You may notice a little bit of unevenness where the pins were holding the piece in place, but no worries. This will all get resolved when we seam the pieces up and as they relax a bit. Repeat this process for all the remaining pieces. Use the template, pin the outline of the template, and then replace the paper with your knit piece, blocking to the dimensions recommended or outlined by the pins. Steam block, allow to cool completely, then remove from the blocking board. Remember not to block out or pin out the rib start for any of the pieces. when you're working the sleeve, it may be best to block the knitted sleeve pieces with the purl side facing so that you can unfurl or uncurl the edges a bit more easily. Otherwise, everything else remains the same. Again, do not block out the rib.